20th, 2015. Plymouth Planning Board meeting, public, which we will have a public hearing tonight as well. Roll call. Mike Ahern, Chair. Steve Rhodes, Vice Chair. John Kelly. Rebecca Hansen. Steve Whitman, alternate, and Bill Bolton, Selectman's representative. For tonight's meeting, Steve Whitman will sit in as a voting member. Item number 3 is public comments. This is usually when you can speak about something that's not already on the agenda. Seeing none, let's move to administrative matters. Site plan review, PID 212037, Robert Wild, Sanctuary ATC, Tenny Mountain Highway. It's an application for a site plan review of previously developed lot and existing structures for a change of use request, retail sales for a state licensed medical marijuana dispensary on PID 212037 at 568 Tenny Mountain Highway, Plymouth, New Hampshire, by Robert Wild's owner, DBA New Mountain Homes. The applicant representative for this project is Sanctuary ATC Jason Sidman, 3 Maroons Drive, Salem, New Hampshire. The parcel is located both in the agricultural and industrial commercial development zones. So at this time, if someone, a representative, I have some information about it. Some of us were at the meeting for the selectmen's, a little bit of review on the project. We don't want to have them go over the plan just to make sure everything's there. Do you want to say anything just about what's on your plans? Do you want to show us before we vote to accept it as complete or not?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you all for being here. I'd like to introduce our team for the record. I'm Jack McCormick. I live in Plymouth, and I'm the attorney for Sanctuary ATC. Jason Sidman, the CEO, is here with me. Mike Duffy from Horizons Engineering is also here. That firm, of course, prepared the plan with assistance from your planner, and we submitted the plan. We think it's complete. Josh Weaver, the CFO, is also here, and DHHS had so much fun the other night. They're coming back again for round 2, and John Martin is here also. He's not really with us. He's actually from the state of New Hampshire, the agency which oversees this particular program. And before we get too far down the pike, we'd like just to thank the board. We realize that you are a purely volunteer board. I've been on boards myself. I realize it's a thankless job, but 2 meetings in 1 week is very thankless. And I want to be the one to say thanks, because we appreciate the energy and the time you all put in, and it makes the process go much more smoothly. So thank you very much for doing that. Now, in terms of the plan itself, Mike is here with me, as I said, and we believe it is accurate and complete. Now, the application letter put forth by General Counsel for Sanctuary asked for 2 waivers. One was on the request for site view from the entrance.
We're not going to go through that right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you wanted to talk about the plan.
We'll get into that shortly.
Okay.
What we just want to make sure the application is complete, and if
Right.
if there's no discussion at this point, I would entertain a motion that we accept the application as complete, then move on to the actual approval process, or lack of.
Don't move.
We have a motion to accept the application as complete, seconded by Bill Bolton. Any further discussion? All those in favor of accepting the application as complete signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That is unanimous. Is there any nays? Seeing none. It is, in fact, accepted as complete.
Good, thank you.
First item of business is we have 2 items that we need to talk about before we go into the review, and that is, I'm going to read. The applicant has requested 2 waivers from the site plan regulations checklist, including a request not to show site distance at the driveway egress on the plot plan, since the driveway egress entrance is pre-existing. The applicant or his agent should check with New Hampshire DOT District 2 to make sure no amendment to the site driveway permit onto Route 25 is needed at this time regarding a change of use. This recommended interface will suffice as the site distance waiver number 1. The second waiver that we're looking at tonight request from the site plan regulations is regarding exterior lighting. As noted above in the proposed use section of this report, this waiver, number 2, regarding the submitted plot plan should be granted. However, the applicant should be present during the planning board building inspector with a clear explanation schematic of proposed security lights in order to balance dark skies, cutoff fixture, exterior lighting, designed with needed security requirements for the dispensary. So, at this point, I would either entertain a motion or we could discuss it on just giving the 2 waivers for the lighting and the access onto 25 for the site distance.
Can I address the site distance? Is that possible? Because something happened you should know.
Sure.
Okay. Dave Flynn of NHDOT was contacted by Jason, and the question was asked, do we need to do anything with our permit, and do you think we'll be increasing traffic? And the guys from DOT were pretty busy yesterday filling in the holes, so he wasn't able to do much, but Dave did indicate to Jason that the DOT's perspective is that there's no traffic increase and nothing will need to be done with our permit except being assigned to us. In other words, the permit's transferred, nothing else has to be done. That's DOT's position. Is that correct, Dave? Right.
Any discussion on the board on those 2 items? Yes, Bill?
Why would the perception be that there would not be a traffic increase for the fact that, there's no traffic there currently?
Well, it was approved, and there's been traffic before. It's not as large as one would hope, but it's given, I wouldn't say no, I would say minimal perhaps may be fairer. Obviously, if there are no cars there now, and cars appear, there's an increase. But I mean, the place was approved with traffic in mind originally all the way through. I think in 2007, New Mountain Homes bought that place. The structures were constructed soon thereafter, and they've been there ever since. And obviously, some traffic was contemplated in connection with those structures. Now, in terms of traffic flow, I can discuss the anticipated traffic flow if you'd like to hear that now. Is that out of order?
I don't think we need to get into that right now.
Okay.
Unless you have a specific
Well,
question.
I wouldn't.
Go ahead.
I'd appreciate knowing
Yeah,
how.
I don't blame you a bit, actually. The problem is no one's done this before. So to some degree, we're using numbers that are culled with our best efforts. And Jason spent some time in reviewing the appropriate numbers and deciding basically what the flow might be. And it seems that the people in Zone 4, there are 150,000 people. Now, we expect 0.1 to 0.3% of the population to potentially enroll in this particular program. And that would mean after the first year or so, a low number of people who would be using our services or buying our product, I should say, is 150 to a maximum of 450, somewhere in there, on a monthly basis. And after 3 years of full absorption, again, hopefully, between 12 and 1,600 people would be using our services monthly. But this particular property is allowing people access to purchase the medication by appointment only. And in theory, every 10 minutes or so would be an appointment. So if you do the numbers, it's full build out. Again, hoping full absorption, there would be a low of 40 to a high of 55 people a day coming and going. And this is a curious facility in the sense that, or retail store, in the sense that, like a restaurant may be very busy from 5 to 8. A theater, of course, when the shows get out, the whole place dumps. This is a continual small flow. People come, they have their appointment, they buy their product, and they leave. It's a continuous dripping effect, basically. So we think that the effect upon traffic with the new traffic lights will be very minimal, unlike a parts store or something like that, which is mass market. This is not mass market. It's a very, very small number of people. Again, at the height, it would be 40 to 55 people a day. So we think that the impact upon traffic is extremely minimal.
Steve?
Yeah, I have a question. What are your anticipated days and hours of operation?
I believe it's 10 to 7 days a week. Is that not correct? So no late night operation per se.
Weekends?
7 days a week.
John?
I had an office out on Smithbridge Road for about 35 years, and even with the traffic before I sold my practice, Sometimes in 7:30 in the morning, 12 at noon, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and 5 o'clock at night. That traffic on Smith Bridge Road is all the way up around the corner. And if you add another even 5 or 10 extra cars there, there's no street light there, and so consequently, people get very, very angry. And I don't care what the statistics say, there will be a fatality there sometime. I hope that it isn't, but there will be, because when you come out of that Smith Bridge Road, it's hairy, I'm telling you, especially turning on the left-hand side. So any increase in traffic is going to be a real problem. Now, when we started this operation, which was a mistake in the first place in my mind, but it was a model home. Maybe 1 or 2 people might go in there a day, maybe 1 to 2 people a week to see what a model home might look like. Then they turned it into rental, and that didn't work. No, they turned it into offices, and that didn't work out. Now they're turning it into this, and it's like lies or rotten meat. No matter how many times you try to change it, it is not going to do any better, and there will be a fatality there, and I hope that all of you remember it when they're picking those bodies up. Thank you.
If I can respond to that. I'm not sure I understand the reference to lies or rotten meat, with all due respect. Let me take the numbers one step further. 40 people a day equates to 4.4 an hour. 50 people a day is 6.1 an hour. We're not talking mass market here. It's not possible to have planning, zoning, and growth with no traffic flow increase. I note also that the auto parts store, which will have significantly more traffic than we have, apparently had no issue with traffic. There was no more lights required, nothing. This is not a mass market.
A light should go there or not. The planning board can certainly request that the state look at it, but I think it's the state's responsibility to control that intersection. Last thing let's do the waivers first, because I got some stuff on the site plan.
Is there any more discussion on the 2 waivers? Otherwise, I'm ready to entertain a motion
I move we accept
to
these waivers.
approve the waivers, the requested waivers.
I so move that we.
We moved it. We have a second?
Is this for waiver number 1 or both?
Both. We're going to do all right now. Both.
So we're not going to talk about the specifics of the lighting?
If you'd like to.
I would.
Okay.
Just quickly.
All right. Let's have a separate vote then on, so would you amend your motion to just approve the,
I approve the waiver of the requirement for a site distance indication on the plan.
is there a second?
Second.
By Bill, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays for no? 1 nay? Okay. 5 to 1 on that vote. Okay, question on the lighting.
I guess just wanting to know, security-wise, to give you a chance to describe what it is. So.
Right now, there's only porch lights because that's all that's necessary. And this operation will be running to 7 p.m. Now, I realize 7 p.m. is dark some months of the year. And frankly, we're inclined to whatever you want, whether you need, we just can't show you a plan right now. Again, we haven't done this before at this site. Frankly, if you want certain lights, motion lights, that's fine. I just can't give you a plan right now showing that. And the requirements are existing and proposed. We'll just work with you and do what you like. That's our intention. I don't know how to put that in the formal motion, but basically, we'll do what you think is reasonable.
So it's nothing that you have proposed, you're just wanting to know that you'll work with us?
We'd like to talk to the police, talk to you, talk to our insurance carrier, see what people think. I mean, it's never been an evening operation so far, so it's kind of a case of first impression. Whatever you think is reasonable, we can do.
It just seems that with the dark sky piece, as long as they're motion activated, I mean, they're not, security lights, I would assume, aren't on all the time unless there's a need identified by the police or by Brian or somebody. So I have no issue with that.
Any other discussion? Then I will, yes.
Just a quick question. Did you guys go over to Maine and look at the operations over there
We have,
with regards to these kind of basic operational questions?
actually, John has also gone to Connecticut with the operations.
recently down, excuse me, I was recently down in Connecticut, and went to both the dispensary and the cultivation site. So I was there for a day, so I could really see the operations.
John?
Could we have a physical site review before we go further into this? We used to, planning board used to go out to the site and look at it and actually see the traffic going by and stuff like that. But
The buildings are there.
I understand that, but the traffic has built up a lot in the last few years because there's been more buildings put on Tenny Mountain Highway. I don't see why the objection is for people to be able to go out and actually see the traffic that is coming off in Smithsbridge Road and the other.
Any other discussion on having a site plan?
I feel like we've seen it, and I feel like it's not pre-construction, where it's an established use, as you said.
That's a feeling of calling traffic into question. I know I'm no traffic expert, so I don't know what I would actually be able to determine by watching the traffic.
Right.
Bill?
And I think we've all had experience trying to make a right for the businesses on the west side of Tenny Mountain Highway, so I think we're kind of aware of the traffic,
That's on a daily basis?
pretty much.
Is there any other discussion? I would entertain a motion from the board.
I'd make a motion on the second waiver for the lighting.
Okay, is there a second? Rebecca? Any discussion before we vote? All those in favor of approving the motion for waiver on the exterior lighting signify by saying aye. Aye. Noes would be nay. Is there one? None? So it's unanimous?
I'm sorry, I missed.
There were no nays. All ayes. Okay, so at this point, I would allow the applicant to come in and talk about the application, and from there, we will go to a public hearing.
Great, thank you very much. By way of background, it's no secret that there was a very well-attended meeting several nights ago here. That's why John lost his voice, actually, I think. There were many opinions expressed, some pros, some con, and none of those opinions have a place in this particular hearing. It's our position that this is not a referendum on marijuana, it's not a referendum on legal marijuana, recreational, anything to do with that. The proposed use is legal, it's mandated by the state. We simply ask to be treated as with any other applicant before this board. If you step back and think about that, this is a very easy application. We think we have a right to due process, equal protection. We have faith in the board's ability to sort the wheat from the chaff, and we encourage the board to limit debate, not to marijuana, not to all that same stuff, but rather focus on the very narrow planning and zoning issues. And having said that, the site, as has been pointed out, is primarily in the ag zone. The small part is in the IC zone. The lot is about 0.8 acres in size. You can all see from your plans. Served by town water and sewer. There are two structures on that site. One has about 2,400 square feet, the other about 16, total about 3,944, requiring 16 parking places. In fact, there are 17. The buildings have been on that property, I think, since about 2008, more or less. Originally an office space with a model home and office. And we're seeking now to have the site converted to retail sales, which again is a permitted use under our ordinances. Now, we know what's going to be happening. Essentially, people will be coming in once they're cleared by the state of New Hampshire. It's in the nature of a very secure pharmacy. They come in, they wait. It's a one-on-one relationship. They're taken in very securely. It's all mandated by the state, and they determine which product they want. That's how it works. It's one person at a time, and the product comes in many forms. The cards, the determination as to who is served by this particular dispensary has nothing to do with us. It's not made on site. It's made by DHHS pursuant to their rules. One at a time, appointment only. It's a one-on-one staff ratio, and what will happen is people will ask questions and they'll be answered. They'll be somewhat discussing what they want to buy. And if you know how Rite Aid and CVS and those places work, it's much the same. You stand back, one person walks up, there's a counseling room, they talk about what's occurring. mixing medications, do you need whatever you need? That kind of thing is occurring here too. One difference is that Rite Aid and CVS, they give shots. We don't do that. We simply dispense a product to an educated consumer. There's no diagnosis, there's no treatment, again, no inoculations like most pharmacies do now. It's a very secure pharmacy. Nothing is grown here. It's not coming in by tractor trailer. It's an extremely low-key operation. Dispensary only. There's no exterior construction. The signage Jay can talk about, it's extremely minimal, if any. People have to find the place. There's no big blinking sign. Nothing like that. Again, we've talked about there's nothing changing in the parking area. For all practical purposes, driving by, you won't even know it's in there, most likely. Again, we've talked about the traffic. It's not open late. We will work with the board on lighting. It's good for both of us. We want to be safe. You want to have the place safe. We told the chief of police that we'll talk about security. We don't want to discuss it publicly, of course. Work with him to make response times better. Nothing in life is perfect. We'd like to have this be the model for the state. We think this is a very easy application. We think we have a right to the site plan review approval. We ask you to give us strong consideration. Thank you.
Yes, Steve.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. To the rear of the storage building, I guess the building to the west,
Left or right?
left side on the print. An entrance off of the Smith Bridge Road that accesses your property through the right of way, is that correct?
The 2 gravel parking spaces?
Just back in here.
Yeah, there's 2 gravel parking spaces labeled there. And I know that one of the employees used to park there.
The right-of-way to the far left, the northwest corner of the property,
Yes.
that exists by way of deed. Apparently, the deed had that as an ancillary right.
So where it says parking spaces, there are no parking spaces there, or there
Let
are?
me see here. Are you asking what's there physically? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, it's just a gravel.
What's there? 2 parking spaces.
There are, okay. And that's
I
gonna be-
suspect help could park there. Those are not included in our 17 count.
Okay, so that's an addition.
Right.
To 17, and that's going to be employee parking and deliveries?
I would
back
suspect
there?
so, right.
My other question has to do with the egress and of the lot off the Tenny Mountain Highway. You show an in arrow and an out arrow there. Are those going to be painted on the pavement?
Right. Okay. Would you like them to be?
I think so. I mean, that might help some of the traffic issues at that intersection.
We can do that, if you'd like to, sure. Sure.
So that would just indicate that on the print.
Okay, that's fine. Makes sense.
Any other questions? Yep, Bill.
I've got a question about the sign. So it looks like, so we're going to use existing sign, stanchion or whatever.
Right.
But this was like the sign that you're proposing, or, I mean, it's something that, like, that's, it's going to be hand lettered like that, or?
It's not
No, it's
just
just, it's going to be like essentially it's replacing the abode, okay, with something nondescript,
no neon.
yeah. I don't think you use neon anymore. I think it's all LED, but that's okay.
I guess I date myself in a couple of neon. None of that.
So I have a question for the board. How do we want to handle this site lighting issue?
I liked what Sharon suggested to us, which was, to have a condition of approval be to continue to work with Brian and with police and fire on any of the permits and this lighting issue. Just have that be a condition of approval, let them have those conversations, not in a public forum, but knowing that they're going to be advocates for the town.
That makes sense.
So I would suggest that would be one of the conditions of the
Right.
And you'll be ready to verbalize that.
I will write it down, Mike, so I can.
Great. Any other questions for the applicant before we go to public hearing? On that sign, were you anticipating any other words besides the words that were handwritten on that paper?
Exactly.
Okay. All right. The time is 7 o'clock. I'm going to open up the public hearing. Before we let people talk, I did want to speak on one issue. First of all, John Radigan is here, who is our town council, sitting at the table with us tonight. I also would like to state that this is a site plan review, and the board does not anticipate allowing anybody to talk about the merits of the bill that was signed by the governor. We're strictly here to talk about a site plan review. We're here to talk about parking, lighting, egress, anything else that would normally be discussed on a site plan review. So if you can't substitute the word books for whatever they're selling, then it's not going to be germane to the topic of the site plan review. Seeing everybody understands that, we will now allow anybody who would like to speak in favor of the application. Seeing no one who would like to speak in favor of the application, and we're going to also limit it to 3 minutes. Is there anyone who would like to speak? Yes.
Can I speak in favor?
Yes. This is in response to lighting, egress, traffic. This is about a site plan review. Go ahead.
Hi everyone, my name is Sean
Oh.
Gamsjaeger.
Say your name again.
Sean Gamsjaeger.
Are you a Plymouth resident?
I am no longer. I live in Woodstock now, but I just graduated from Plymouth State, and I just wanted to speak on the topic. And I think everything that, as far as I've heard, was legitimate. I understand the issue with traffic, but I feel that if any other sort of building, office space was in there, it would be the same results as far as traffic goes, people coming in and out. And I think that's all I'm going to say as far as that goes.
Yes.
My name is Kathy Gowen. I'm a resident of Plymouth. I have a traffic question, perhaps you can clarify. My understanding is that it shouldn't increase traffic. This is an alternative to what we already provide as medication. So let's assume 100 people go to Walmart a day to purchase pain medication. Now perhaps 50 of the 100 are still going to be on Tenny Mountain Highway, but they're going to be going to this site, and Walmart will be reduced by 50. So it's a shift, but I would anticipate it's not an increase.
Is there anyone that would like to speak against the application? State your name and
Jennifer
town.
Stewart. I live in Holderness. I own property in Plymouth. I have some traffic concerns that would be specific to the type of operation that it is, because we'll have, it's supposed to be serving the whole North Country, so it would certainly not just replace people going to our Walmart. And also the fact that it's going to, I understand the reasons for having it very low key as far as what is there, but I have real concerns about that left-hand turn there. And if you have people coming from either direction trying to find the place and they slow down, someone's going to get hit trying to come out of that Smithbridge Road. I just feel like there's going to be confusions, particularly if they're coming from out of town and they don't know what they're looking for. And I also have a question about whether there's a federal mortgage on that property by any chance, because then they're not allowed to lease to a marijuana dispensary.
You want to speak on that?
I just want to speak, I'm not going to discuss the mortgage, that's not a planning board issue. Private financing is private financing, private leasehold is private leasehold. It's not your issue. I will talk about the traffic flow. Every place on Tenny Mountain Highway has the same problem. You turn left, you turn right. If you live here a while, you figure it out. And everyone has the same problem. We are a very low impact site though. We're less affecting anything than anybody else there. So I suggest to you, you can't have planning and growth without some traffic, and we are no different. But we are minimal, we are controlled, we're the dripping effect, continuous. We're not the mass market, the Walmarts, the parts stores, all that, the restaurants. We're different. Thank you.
Anyone else who would like to speak in opposition to the application? Yes, Brian.
It's not in opposition, nor is it in favor, but it has to do with turning and touching on what everybody has said. As residents, we know not to make a left. I would just ask the board to consider a condition on the site plan to restrict right-hand turns unless and until DOT installs some kind of a traffic device at Smith Bridge Road. Right turn only.
Until Department of Transportation does
Some kind of traffic structure there, either a light, a roundabout, traffic cop on a box.
Jersey barrier.
Can I ask a question?
yes.
Has that been done anyplace else on the highway, or is it just us? All the high-intensity uses, all these places, is it just us, or is that something which the board's doing in the future and has done in the past?
I didn't really understand the question, but that's the only place where you're coming on a left-hand turn without a light on the whole Tenny Mountain
I
Highway.
think so. I think there are, every driveway is two choices.
Yeah, we're not
Number
talking,
of
I'm not talking about a
driveways on the
driveway,
highway.
I'm talking about a road.
I'm trying to think whether we've done that, and I can't think.
If you're doing that as a matter of form, I have no problem. If it's just us, though, I just don't think that's fair.
I don't know that it would be necessary in every location. It's the proximity issue for this case. Maybe talk about it.
John.
That is the only road going on Tenny Mountain Highway with a volume of traffic coming onto Tenny Mountain Highway. In other words, you go in the parts store, you get your parts, go out and you turn right or left. Now you've got 10, 15, 20 cars at certain times during the day backed up against Smith Bridge Road, and the first car is okay, the second car is okay, third, fourth, fifth car. That sixth car is going to go out and sometimes...
I'm going to let us
problem.
finish talking about this after we go through any more comments on the public hearing, and then we'll get back to that. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in opposition to the application? Is there anyone that would like to speak of a general nature about the application? Seeing none, I'm closing the meeting at 7:07 and bring it back to the board. Steve?
So my question is, because this is a state highway and the DOT issues the driveway permit, who's in charge of telling people whether they have to do right turn only or left turn only? Is it the state DOT or is it us? Who has the jurisdiction?
Yeah. DOT. DOT.
Okay, so,
What's that?
And can I make another comment too, or at least an observation? So this business, what's that business? It's the alternative healthcare.
The naturopath?
Yeah,
Yes.
naturopathic, yep. So I don't know what their traffic is, but, the driveway's right here, and they'd be facing the same thing either with this driveway or Smith Bridge Road. So it just needs a traffic pattern clarification by DOT or to fix it if it's an issue.
John?
As far as the traffic on the road, on the left-hand lane, I have no objection about turning right. The only problem is where you're going to turn around. But I noticed the other day, just for general information, that the telephone office was making improvements, and I'm wondering if that telephone unit is starting to get active again, that's just going to throw more traffic going to it would be their right to the left on the opposite side of the road, so it would bind up the road that much more.
Would the applicant even entertain voluntarily making a recommendation with a sign of some sort for, and not anything that would be enforced, but just to, I mean, there's a lot of people coming from out of the area.
No, it's not a bad idea. If we can address the board through
Sure.
deliberation, it's not a bad idea.
Do you want to take a minute to think, to talk? No?
I just talked to Jay. It's not a bad idea. I mean, I'm not sure if we can make them, encourage them. Hopefully, people who drive there much will understand. There's no reason not to do that. A suggested right-hand turn, no problem with that.
Okay.
Good idea.
But I think that was my stupid comment like a half an hour ago.
Funny world over.
John?
But that's actually penalizing the locals that are coming in from Romney and so forth. In other words, they've got to go down Smithbridge Road and then take a right, and then I have no idea whether they're going to turn around, except I don't know where they're going to turn.
We'll have to pull into a business and maybe stop and patronize the business, so hopefully the people on Tenny Mountain will appreciate that. Any other discussion? Seeing none, there's no further discussion. Is there a motion that someone would like to make?
I have that one condition of approval.
Do you want to
Take
make?
a stab at it.
Okay.
So I would make a motion to approve the site plan review with a condition of approval being that the applicant works with the town building inspector, fire and health officials, and police.
To the satisfaction of, can we add that?
To the satisfaction of the town planner.
Town, the town building inspector,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Brian Murphy. Yes, John?
is there any way that you can, because it's a state highway you'll be going on to, there probably should be somebody from DOT that's involved in that committee or whatever you want to call it.
Okay, to the satisfaction of the town building inspector.
Yep. And this would be on security lighting and any required local permits, and we'll say the state driveway permit.
Right, you had that in the planner's report, right?
Yeah, let's look at that.
Did you get that whole paragraph? Yeah.
Okay, which is item number 1, which we've already talked about. Town's building inspector, fire health inspector, personnel. All right. So we've got that. We also, another condition would be that the applicant will put up a sign, a non-enforceable sign, but a recommended sign to make a right-hand turn upon exiting. That would be a second condition. Yes, not right now. Are you the applicant?
He's our engineer.
I will let you make comment, yes.
You know, to put up, 90% of the time, 95% of the time, it's perfectly fine to make a left-hand turn. I drive through town every day, all different times of day. And I do agree, there's, at some points during the day, there's a lot of traffic on Tenny Mountain Highway, and it's hard to make a left-hand turn out of any place along Tenny Mountain Highway. It's probably much more dangerous at the quick stop than this would be. And there is traffic at, Smithbridge Road, but, that, I don't see where this, putting up a sign there, it might just make people more confused. They turn around, now they're trying to turn around somewhere else. And I'm not sure that there's much logic to this thought of recommending a right-hand turn. People are heading in the wrong direction.
I think what our highway personnel are saying, that intersection, right where this business is located, at that intersection, is one of the most dangerous spots in the entire town. And that's what we're trying to do, is to make less problems there in that one spot. So if they're going to turn around somewhere else, I think it's going to be a little bit safer than that intersection. Mr. Radigan, Attorney Radigan.
They probably do this in California, but the sign might say something at times of heavy traffic. Please consider making a right-hand turn only. Because people are going to recognize that, because you could have a circumstance where it's, as you said, you could make the other turning motion. And they'll also understand by the language of the sign that this is probably not a town enforceable sign. So you're reminding people about safe driving habits as opposed to mandating what they do.
Right.
And you're also suggesting an alternative when they're sitting there frustrated, that you can
Right,
take a right-hand turn and go to the
They
next
can
lane.
beep the horn to the guy who's waiting too long.
Take a right.
No, it'd probably be more effective to put it at Smith Bridge Road instead of this business. I mean, that's where people should take the right-hand turn, not out of this side. You know, that's where the problem is on Smith Ridge.
So we have a motion on the table at this point, and
Is that a condition or not, that last reference?
yes, a condition that they put a sign on the property using the language that Attorney Radigan just gave them.
I thought the language, we could decide ourselves what to say.
Right, right, yeah, I'm sure you can approve on that.
No offense, no.
That's it.
So that's a yes.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree that they can approve it.
Why don't we clarify what the motion is again, then we'll see if we can get a second, and then we'll have a vote. So we've got,
I think these ended up rolled into one
Okay.
motion. So it was a motion of, a condition of approval, working with the town building inspector, fire, health, and police, and the DOT, on the security lighting issue, and any required local permits, and any amendments to the driveway permit, so that they can have those conversations.
do you have that, Sharon? Okay. And the second condition would be a voluntary, to put up a sign with a recommendation to take a right-hand turn to make a right-hand turn, using your language. Do we want to make it a condition that, to the satisfaction of the building inspector, or?
DOT, state highway.
Yeah, I think Sharon indicated that too. I think it's the recommendation, so.
But we're private property. The DOT has no jurisdiction over our sign. We're just trying to be
Right.
nice about this, and
Right.
it's becoming a big condition. All we're saying is, sure, it's a good idea, we'll put a sign up saying suggested turn right. Do we have to have people inspecting it and reading it and passing on the grammar?
As long as it's not in the right of way on the two highways, right?
That's fine.
We'll do it.
You want to take care of your customers, and so we,
Do it in a nice way, not a DOT, with all
So-
due respect to DOT.
yeah. So the condition is that you put up something. Do we want to clarify until the state addresses the intersection properly with some sort of device at the intersection, or
I
no?
don't think it's necessary.
Okay. All right, so we have two conditions. We have a motion on the table. We're looking for a second. Second by Steve Rhodes. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the application with the two conditions signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed would be any nays?
Nay.
One nay. That's it.
Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for coming out.
We have another application before us.
Just shuffle paper.
Good night, everyone. See you later.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Attorney Radigan.
Local Motive. Local Motive.
That wasn't that bad time-wise.
Everybody did.
Second letter from Highway Department was about skate park, right?
Yeah. Yes, yes. I misspoke when I did say highway.
No, that was fine. The intent was good. That's all that matters.
No offense.
So many papers, this is.
The other application is very big.
Yes, I have a question.
Take a paper mache.
Heads German?
We're still on camera, aren't we?
And Mike.
So that big yawn was probably kind of, well,
Oh, I'm sorry. have, I didn't want to give you too much paper, but this is the amended, I asked the applicant, Richard Gowen, to, expand upon their narrative.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So, there you go.
So item number 4, administrative matters. Item B, site plan review. Why don't we just all take a second to read this, I guess? Okay, site plan review, PID 110-029, Plymouth Skate Park, Railroad Square. This parcel was donated to the nonprofit Plymouth Skateboard Park group to serve as a site for a phase 6,000 square foot skateboard park open to the public without charge. The completed phase 1 was a result of the community fundraising and development effort. The lot size is 8.15 acres and is the village commercial zone. The use is allowed by Plymouth zoning ordinance. So we had asked you to come back for, when you were ready for phase 2, to come back to the board with your plans. So you're here today. I remember saying when you were here for phase 1 how great it was to see a community project of the size that you were, with not asking the town for money, and you've done just what you said you have. And anybody looking to raise money for a project similar to this should come to you guys and ask how is it done, because you guys done a great job. I just want to say that. So come on.
Okay. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I'm Richard Gowen. I'm representing the skate park of Plymouth and Alex Ray as well. Exactly right. We came to you for phase 1 of the project several years ago and received approval, and we've constructed phase 1, which is basically it's a skate park bowl, which is like a swimming pool, as well as there's about 110 feet of flat work there with some obstacles on it that the kids are skating on. We've raised enough money now to move forward and do another piece of work, which is going to be a pretty good sized piece of the work. A lot like the last application, we're basically here going over what we did before. It's pretty much the same. You know, we're not changing anything. Everything we're going to do is within the fence. We're not doing anything outside the fence. The detention pond that we have there, the leaching detention pond, is there. It's of fairly large size. It will handle everything that we are going to be putting towards it. We haven't had any issues whatsoever there with erosion. Right now, I think on any given day, we have anywhere from 30 to 70 skaters in the park. And but we probably don't expect to see a huge rise in numbers of skaters. We just want to give them more room, because when there are 15 or 20 skaters down there at a time, they're waiting. They're just not getting enough skate time. And the whole idea of this was to continue, as everybody knew. I think that the main reason why you asked us to come back here again, and I commend you for it, is kind of a checks and balances. You wanted to see how this was going to affect the community and what was going to happen down there. Were we going to have trouble? Are there going to be any problems? Are we having fights or gangs or what have you? We've had absolutely none of that. The police thinks it's great. They don't have any issues with it. The fire department doesn't have any issues with it. We've had very limited injuries in the park, so it's gone extremely well, and we're excited to add another piece to it. So.
I have a question for Sharon. Are we looking at a public hearing as well for this, since they're...
Yes, it's a site plan review. I mean, if we had minor site plan review voted in, this would be an administrative approval, which myself and my department head peers would look at. But yeah, it's the same protocol. It's a little simpler application, but because this is an all volunteer organization with donations. They're not as fancy as some of the others in their presentation.
Is there a motion to accept the application as complete? John, second by Rebecca. Any discussion? All those in favor of accepting the application as complete signify by saying aye. Aye. Any nays? Seeing none, it is accepted. You've pretty much given us a report. Is there anything else that you want to go over?
You might bring up the question of lighting. It came up the last time we were here. The chief of police at that time was Steve Temporino. I've talked with Chief LaFave since, and really they don't want to have lighting down there, nor do we. Reason being, if we put any light down there, even if it's a dim light in the corner, it's going to encourage kids to stay there after dark. And right now, we don't have any problems with that. I think maybe twice in 5 years, I've seen some kids down there with their lights on, and I pull down and say, hey guys, you can't do this. They leave. So we really don't want to put any lighting in there. We do have a cellular device and a 911 box down there. So they can open that box at any given time and make a phone call if something happens and nobody happens to have a cell phone. I think most every kid down there has at least one.
What are your hours of operation again?
We're going somewhat dusk.
Dawn to
Yeah.
dusk.
Yeah.
7 days?
Yep, 7. Yep.
Any questions from the board?
Yeah, just a,
John first, and then we'll go to Steve.
How close to the road is that? I haven't been down there to find out what the fenced-in area
It's
is.
a long ways back. Yeah, it's several hundred
I
feet.
don't know whether we're going to move forward.
Yeah. We're going to be within the same fence that we have now. Nothing outside.
It's really to the back side of that clearing, like closer to the river.
yeah, so I was there for phase one, but it looks like the embankment work's all done, right? You're just replacing
Yeah.
the surface?
Yeah, pretty much. The only thing we're going to do is we're going to excavate out some soil. We're going to put crushed gravel down as a base. Probably going to put one under drain line in, and then we're going to pour concrete.
And that is incidental, because it is partially in the ESC, but that's why the building is
Yes.
There's a lot of discussion on about Kenmount, and this is not for or against, but a lot of discussion about removing earth not incidental to a building. And I'm just I would like to clarify that a little bit. In other words, on Tenny Mountain Highway, when they were thinking of doing Lowe's and everything, they were going to spread the earth all out, and there was a great discussion as to whether to take earth out of a site would not be incidental to a building.
Yep. So what you're talking about is mitigating cubic footage in a floodplain area. Is that what you're discussing? Okay. To address that, I don't know. You should have some history on what that site was before we started. Okay, it was a dump site for many years of construction projects that happened within the town. There were mounds of dirt everywhere, and we went in and we removed all that dirt and cleaned it up. So really, there's no way we're going to touch the amount of cubic footage that we've already removed. Even if we take that dirt out and save it, because we may very well save what we take out for what might be a pump track down the road for bicycles. That's another project, but we would like to save that dirt there. We're not going to come anywhere near the cubic yardage that we hauled away from the site when we did the construction.
I just didn't want to have something come up later after you get everything done.
Certainly.
I just want to clarify, that's all.
Yep. And I will say, that site has flooded. The flooding comes back from the Pemigewasset. It doesn't come, you might think it would sheet all the way from Main Street down. It doesn't do that. That detention pond that we built, I put a pipe up about 6-7 feet in elevation so that it would fill with the water that comes out of the park. The water runs back in the pipe from the Pemigewasset River into the detention basin and fills it. So that's pretty much how that works. When we have a flood stage, it comes in, it doesn't.
There used to be old oil storage tanks down in that same section.
Absolutely.
And also the whole old village.
It's a tremendous graffiti park right now.
Rebecca.
It looks good.
So I think this has been addressed, but I just want to maybe talk a little bit more about the environmentally sensitive zone and just make sure we're maintaining the integrity of it. I'm not necessarily concerned with this project so much, but just the precedent that we might be setting by allowing some things in the ESZ and not allowing things into the future. But it seems like this is covered. It meets the zoning. Okay, all right.
Construction, and it doesn't say buildings.
Mhm.
It's construction. Do you have any square footage? I don't have any dimensions on this. I'm just
The
curious.
fence is roughly 60 by, 180, I think, if I remember right, something like that.
So
It is-
square footage ballpark, what you're putting in for new concrete?
For new concrete, we actually, I think our application said a little over 3,000. We may end up higher than that. We may become bigger, which still fits what Phase 2 shows on the plan. Probably even a little bit less than what Phase 2 shows on the plan, although it's going to be pretty close. And the reason is we've had some good hits with our fundraising here recently to help us out. But pretty much we're sticking with exactly what we brought to you the first time. And I guess with this approval, be it the next phase is going to be so much smaller, I'd also like you to anticipate that and maybe leave this as a building permit process or something that we can go to Sharon and Brian on rather than coming in here, because it's pretty simple cut and dry.
That's the phase 3 also
Phase
still
3.
within the fence.
Exactly. Yep, exactly.
Is there any reason not to talk about phase 2 and 3 tonight at the same time? They're both within the fence.
Yeah, we certainly can. Yeah. I mean,
Because
it's,
we don't have the
We don't have
minor
minor
site
plan
plan.
review.
So then,
So, yeah, so you technically, it's a change of use, you'd have to come back again, so if you encompass it this evening.
That'd be great. Good
Yeah.
comment. Bill?
Well, I had a question about the sign, but,
go for it.
okay. So, you would like to add a sign for the park on the east side of Route 3?
yes.
Do you also propose to say, please make a right-hand turn? Do you, but
Application.
it's not going to be like a permanent sign, and theoretically, if there is a alternate main street to the east, current main street, might possibly coming out through that area. I mean, the sign could be moved. I mean,
Oh, it could be moved, absolutely. Yeah.
They have an application that will be pending before the CBA for approval
okay,
of the sign. They need relief from CBA in that particular zone.
okay.
John?
The alternate route. This is something new to me. Is that going to be nearer the skate park?
Can you speak up a little
It's
bit,
going to
John?
be where Green Street is.
You could exit on Route 3.
Oh, and so it would be quite a bit closer to the park.
Pipe dream right now, but that's
Pipe dreams became realities after a while,
If I can address that.
especially in this town.
Yes.
John, if I can address that. The skate park right now, where Green Street actually would run, which is Railroad Square Road, I guess now they call it, that is probably at its closest point 45 feet away from one corner of the fence. So
Now-
there's all kinds of room there for the road to be put in.
Just a question, does Green Street go all the way down to Route 3? It doesn't, it stops somewhere near the theater, right? So
Yeah.
there's no street there
It
now.
becomes Railroad Square, then it becomes a private and
Right,
unnamed road.
right.
Brian?
Green Street is a separate street where the courthouse is. It
Yeah.
dead ends at Water and Sewer. It's on
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
riverside of the railroad track, the Railroad Square right-of-way, and because it's not officially a street at this point,
Right.
is the one that ducks in from Route 3 and continues up from there and eventually comes up by the Lucky Dog at Depot Street.
So,
There was a letter from the highway department and sort of addressed this road issue. And one of the things that was identified is whether there should be a pass it and risk sign for this private road because of its condition.
Right, and you're right, but we're kind of getting off a little bit into another territory.
Oh, I agree. I'm just,
Yeah.
you gave it to us.
No,
so
I
I'm
know,
just
I
making sure we
know.
talk about it.
it.
I think a lot of these road issues are town issues that go beyond the fence of the skate park and are things that are going to be addressed and we need to address. I see this as phase 2 and 3 within the fence. Seems pretty straightforward as long as, and you know, doing site work, as long as you have the permits that you need from the state, if there are any permits required. But beyond that,
So if there's no more comments, we'll open it up for a public hearing at this point. Time is 7:35. Is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of the application? Is there,
Just in general terms, Mr. Chairman, they've done a great job.
Frank?
I speak in favor of the project, and I think what they're doing is really great. And as far as that road access and having signage about passing at your own risk is, I believe, not in the public interest. It is part of Main Street, and we're supposed to be something that's attractive, which they're doing very well to get there. And I think the phase program of how they're going towards the project is proper, and I highly recommend approval. And I also would like to support the legal action about phase 3 follow-on getting through as a permitted thing through town planner and our code enforcer, because given the limited scope of what they're doing and they're staying within the confines of what their plan, I believe it's in the best interest to approve it.
Anyone who would like to speak of a general nature or against the application? Seeing none, I'm going to close the meeting at 7:36 and bring it back to the board. So if there's no further discussion, yes,
So
Steve?
do we need a certain language about phase 3?
Yes, let's make that as a condition of approval, that if there's a quantifying number that, should you want to expand it beyond phase 2, I'm thinking a quantifying number that would be less than, then you would just possibly be able to go to the town building inspector and town planner for their approval.
Because it's within the confines of the fence, so it's
So that's
Can
the
you give-
condition.
self-limited.
So as long as it's
within the existing.
within the existing fence,
Yeah.
you would not have to come back to the board. Does that work for you?
Very acceptable, thank you.
So, do we have a motion then? Okay, and the motion is to approve the application with the condition that should they need to expand more than what they came tonight with, that as long as the expansion is within the fence, they would not have to come back for a site plan
Site plan
review. Is there a second? Second by Bill Bolton. Any more discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. You got it.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Thanks, guys.
that brings us to, we have an agenda here somewhere. You have one?
Thank you.
Item number 5, correspondence. Item number 6, new business. Item number 7, unfinished and other business. Item 8, public comments. You're not the only public today. Seeing no public comments? No further comments? Item number 9. Rebecca, seconded by Bill Bolton.
Fast button.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. We're out of here.